Brene Brown, thank you so much for being on our show. I really appreciate it. How are you and where are you?
We're doing okay. And there are 12 of us quarantined between two houses, one in Austin and one in Houston. So it's sisters, families. We got my mom out of assisted living, like with a tuck and roll at the last minute when they were closing the doors, which was great. And then, so we got a big crew.
5 New York Times bestsellers. You did a TED Talk on vulnerability that's gotten over 60 million views, by the way. And then you had this Netflix special, which I think was the first Netflix special where they just aired a lecture. That's crushing. And now you have a new weekly podcast. You're busy, busy, busy. For people that don't know you, can you explain what you do?
Yeah, I've spent the last 2 decades, a little bit more, studying the emotions that kind of define what it means to be human. So I study vulnerability, courage, shame, empathy. So I'm a researcher. I'm a professor at the University of Houston. I also have a professorship at UT Austin.
Wow, UT Austin. I love it. We were just there. It was great.
Oh my God. It was so fun.
Oh, we had the best time.
I loved watching it. It was great.
Oh, you did see it? I love it. You saw it.
Oh my God, I totally saw it.
You're doing the like a virtual commencement for the graduating class, aren't you?
I am. I'm doing the commencement this year.
Oh my gosh, what an honor. That's great.
Yeah, we're going to do a virtual one, and then when we can meet again, they're going to do an in-person one. Because I mean, the UT commencement's 25,000 people in person, so it's an event.
Do you have any idea what you're going to tell these kids, or any nuggets?
You know, I think what I would tell anybody right now, and including these graduates, I think everyone's bull meter is really sensitive right now. So I think it's just straight talk. I think it's, hey, take a look. Here's the big secret. Adults, we're just winging it. Like, we don't know what's going on. So
no one knows. Yeah, no one knows what's going on. What is an FFT? Can you tell people what that is?
Yeah, I'll edit it for y'all for TV, but it's an F in first time. And it's so helpful because there's a process you can follow when you find yourself doing things for the first time. And it's important because let me tell you, first times are super vulnerable. And most adults get to a place in our lives where we don't want to do anything that we're not already good at doing because we don't want to be that vulnerable and we don't want to suck.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right? We don't want to suck at something. So we're never going to take that new class or try that new way of doing something. But unfortunately, that muscle that we use when we do first things is the lifeblood. It's the juice. It's the secret sauce to life. That discomfort, that awkward, my kids would call cringy, that cringiness. That's important. So I did a podcast on FFT saying, listen, let's talk about the pandemic. It's an FFT for all of us. And so the 3 things that are super helpful is name it. I don't know, like first big fight I got into with my husband, I was like, and this is what we should be doing. He goes like, how many pandemics have you been in? I'm like, oh, criminy, I don't know. This is our first pandemic. This is our first, quarantine.
Wow. So that's a good one.
Yeah. So name it, perspective take, like, this is going to end at some point. This is not going to last forever. And then the third thing is reality check expectations. Like nothing is going to go like we have planned. And I put the podcast out right when teachers were going to online learning, and the teacher's like, oh my God, this is the biggest FFT. I'm like,
yeah,
I can
you imagine that?
No, I can't.
It's just, I can't even imagine. You have to teach all these kids and through this computer, and you got to make sure they're paying attention and that they're doing it's just like, who knows what is going on? And I think for the most part, everyone's doing a great job.
Teachers are crushing it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy either because those kids are on, Smash Bro or Fortnite, it's
well, yeah, they're not even.
Because you and I would be. In fact, I got busted the other day in a Zoom call because I was like, what is this weird feedback? And then I Googled like feedback on Zoom and it said someone's on their phone probably, and it's causing interference. I was like, oh my God.
So you were looking at every screen going, who's on their phone? It was you.
Oh, totally.
For everyone going through this tough time right now, is there anything that you can think of that's going to come out better and stronger? I mean, obviously it will. I think we will. But what do you say to somebody who's like, what's going to happen? What are we doing?
Here's what I know here's the only thing I know for sure. And I would really be skeptical of anyone that knew everything or anything certain. I know for sure that we will have a huge opportunity to be better than we were before we went into it. I know for sure that a crisis like this shines a light on fault lines in our communities, in our families, in our country, in our services. And we're seeing that. We're seeing disproportionately affected people. We'll have an opportunity as we come out of this to say, you know what? We're not going to let this continue. This is not who we want to be as a country. And so I think for sure we'll have an opportunity to be better, and I hope we seize it. I know there will be more trauma coming out of this, especially for those of you in the epicenter. There'll be more trauma than we expect. And I know that we're stronger than we think.
That's so true. We ask everyone who comes on our show if they'd like to bring up a charity that they work with or something they just want to shine a little light on.
Yeah.
And, you chose thehotline.org. What is the hotline?
So it's a domestic violence hotline, and it has been, it's a hotline, but it's also been a lifeline long before this crisis. And it will continue to be a lifeline after this crisis. But one of the things I think it's really important for me to help people understand is there's a crisis inside this crisis, and that not everyone who has to stay at home right now is safe at home. And so, when you have things like financial insecurity, uncertainty, fear, it can bring out the worst in already violent situations. So this hotline is a way for people to get support, hope, strategy. Survivors are tough, amazing, resilient people, but they need support. And one of the tools of, domestic violence is isolation. So check on people. And have the hotline. If you see something, because we are closer to our neighbors now that concerns you, call the hotline. And I just want to give a huge love shout out to the people working that hotline, the social workers, the caseworkers, the counselors, the administrators who are working on the hardest edges of love right now during a crisis.
Brene Brown, you are awesome. I'm so thankful that you came on the show. And I really want to see you in person. And next time we'll talk. We'll be in person. Hopefully.
I'd love that.
You're awesome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
On and on and on. I said, and it's on and on and on.